Stephen Stories with Dr. Ducky.
Frank the Flamingo. Shapes of Friendship. Once upon a time in Shapeland, there lived a vibrant and curious flamingo named Frank. He had long, graceful legs and feathers as pink as the sunset. But there was something that made Frank feel a bit different from the other animals. In Shapeland, there were circle birds who flapped their round wings and square cows who mooed and grazed in their square fields. But poor Frank, he didn't fit in with the circle birds or the square cows. He felt confused and alone. Frank wanted to make friends, but he wasn't sure how. He tried to fly like the circle birds or walk like the square cows, but it just didn't work. He felt sad and out of place. One day, as Frank wandered around, feeling disheartened, he met a wise old owl named Ollie. Ollie noticed Frank looking lost and asked, "What's troubling you, my dear flamingo?" With a sigh, Frank explained, "I don't fit in with the circle birds or the square cows. I feel like I don't belong anywhere." Ollie smiled and said, "My dear Frank, do you know that all animals in Shapeland are made up of shapes?" Surprised, Frank asked, "What do you mean?" Ollie explained. "The circle birds are made of circles, the square cows are made of squares, and you, Frank, are made of triangles, rectangles, ovals, and many other shapes." Frank's eyes widened with amazement. "I'm made of different shapes," he exclaimed. Ollie nodded and said, "Yes, and that means you can be friends with everyone. Shapes might be different, but they all fit together in their own special way." Encouraged by Ollie's words, Frank decided to approach the other animals. He waddled up to the circle birds and squared cows and shared what he had learned about shapes and friendship. Some of them understood and welcomed Frank with open wings and hooves. However, there were star-nosed moles in Shapeland. They had star-shaped noses and believed that only animals with star shapes could be friends with them. They refused to be friends with anyone else. Feeling disheartened, Frank approached the star-nosed moles, hoping to make them understand. "I might not be a star shape, but just like you all, I am made up of different shapes," he explained with a hopeful look. The star-nosed moles shook their heads. "We only befriend star shapes," they declared. Frank felt a pang of sadness, but he didn't give up. Gathering all the animals from Shapeland, Frank stood up and spoke. "My dear friends, we might be different shapes, but that's what makes us unique and special. Just like I'm made up of various shapes, so are all of you." The circle birds, square cows, and many other animals began to understand and appreciate what Frank was saying. They realized that being different shapes didn't stop them from being friends. They all gathered around Frank, feeling happy and united. Seeing everyone getting along, even the star-nosed moles couldn't help but feel the warmth of friendship in the air. They joined in and understood that friendship doesn't depend on shapes. It depends on kindness and understanding. From that day on, all the animals in Shapeland embraced their differences and cherished the friendship they had. Frank the Flamingo was no longer confused or feeling out of place. He had found true friends who valued him for who he was, different shapes and all. The end.